Mr. Edward, cornering me in your room this late. Are you trying to seduce me? Edward had me pinned hard against the wall, his cold cedar cologne mingling with a light trace of whiskey wrapping around me like a seal. His long fingers tilted my chin, his voice a low rumble that made my heart skip. Miriam, why play coy? When you tweeted hubby at me and begged me to go rough, you weren't making that face. My heart was slamming against my ribs, but I forced a smirk. That's just a fan thing. You didn't actually believe it, did you? Edward let out a cold laugh, leaning in until his mouth was at my ear, his scorching breath landing on my collarbone. I did. So here I am, just like you ordered, walking right into the lion's den. That was the moment I understood. The secret identity I'd hidden for 5 years, my future wife fan act, hadn't just slipped. It had landed right in his lap. If you want a sugar daddy, why didn't you just come to me? Edward stared at the red marks on my collarbone, his usually cool eyes now filled with something dangerous and sharp. I looked away, refusing to meet his gaze. You have a girlfriend. Sour, bitter feelings rose from the bottom of my chest. Edward froze for a second, silent. Then he suddenly took my wrist. A moment later, he laughed. Miriam. I had to admit, when he said my name like that, with that smile, his voice was deep and smooth, almost too good. But to me, it sounded like nails on a chalkboard. What was so funny? I watched him, wary, and quickly tugged the spaghetti strap of my dress back up to hide the mark. Was he laughing because I'd always pretended to be above it all in Hollywood? And yet here I was, stumbling out of a director's room, looking like a mess? Was that why he'd offered to be my sugar daddy? Before I could even process it, his large hand found my waist and yanked me forward, nearly crushing me against him. Miriam. He said it again, softer this time, almost a sigh, his thumb tracing slowly across my cheek. I was frozen, but the heat from him was everywhere, sinking into my skin, my bones. This was too close. We were way too close. So close that I could suddenly pick up, on top of his usual pine scent, something else. A very faint, almost invisible trace of jasmine perfume. Women's perfume. Definitely women's. My eyes widened. I knew I should pull back, but I realized with a sick, hopeless feeling that I didn't want to. I mentally called myself every name in the book. He was already someone else's man. Was I really that pathetic? His right hand closed around the back of my neck and pulled me in even tighter. Girlfriend? Are you blind or something? He stared down at me, his breath hot against my skin, his voice low and rough. I couldn't breathe. The way he was working me over, my spine went rigid and my face started to burn. Then the meaning of what he just said finally clicked and my face fell. I have perfect vision in both eyes. 20/20. I see everything. My eyes are not the problem here. He was the one who couldn't see straight, damn it. Images flashed through my head. 1 month ago, May 20th, supposed to be this sweet, romantic day. The famous singer David U was dropping his new album that day, but Edward picked that exact day to go public with his love life. His tweet was simple. For words, my girl, with a heart. The photo was of a woman. She was wearing a full-length mink coat, dripping in gold and designer gear, probably pushing 300 pounds, clearly older, with a very sweet, grandmotherly face. In minutes, Edward Confirms Romance was trending #1 with that little red boom symbol. Edward grew up poor, lost his parents early, but he made it big young, and his career had been nothing but successful. The guy was born with this cold, aristocratic beauty, had the looks and the talent, won awards like they were going out of style, never a hint of scandal, and everyone in the business loved him. So when he announced he was dating this woman who looked like a rich Annie, of course the servers crashed. The comments were brutal. Top comment, 500,000 likes. Profile pic of a cartoon milk box. Username, assistant director of the National Eye Institute. The comment just said hello. Second comment, 400,000 likes. From Ian Young, one of Edward's only real friends in Hollywood. He said damn. In third place, from David U, the singer whose album drop got hijacked. Let's just say he used some very colorful language. The rest were a mix of guys crying happy tears for him, and about half of his future wife fan base declaring they were out because they couldn't stomach his choices. I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. I wasn't just one of those future wife fans. I actually wanted to be his wife. I went to top drama school. I got the look, the training, the skills, but for years, I couldn't catch a break. A year ago, I ended up doing a romantic series with Edward. I fell for him for real, even tweeted a public confession. He just shut me out, backed way off. After his announcement, people went wild. They said he'd rather let a woman old enough to be his mom, be his sugar mama, than be with me. Just like that, I was the punchline of the whole town. Someone even dug up that old tweet I'd sent him a year ago, and it started trending too. Mockery, hate, pure schadenfreude coming at me from all sides. I couldn't handle it. I booked a flight out of the country that night, deleted Twitter, tossed my SIM card, changed my number. I stayed gone for a full month before I finally decided to come home. And then tonight, Edward catches me sneaking out of a director's suite, and he stopped me to say he wants to be my sugar daddy, and he's asking me if I'm blind. At that, I shoved my hands against his chest and tried to fight my way free. He just caught my wrists and pinned them over my head, locking me in place. I couldn't get loose, so I just shot shot him a death glare. There's nothing wrong with my eyes. I ground out the words, keeping my voice as even as I could, not letting any of the wrong feelings slip through. Edward was staring at me, those dark eyes of his as deep and unreadable as always. He let out a sigh, almost like he was embarrassed, and looked away for a second. When he spoke again, his voice was low and rough. Do I really strike you as a guy with a girlfriend? For a second, everything just stopped. I actually shivered. I couldn't believe it. The cold, untouchable Edward Miller, king of Hollywood, saying something so brazen. Did he think I was born yesterday? Or that I live under a rock and don't have the internet? Huh? Seriously? I was trembling. I was so mad. I shove him again hard. Do I look stupid to you? And Edward just gave me this long, dark look. His lips moved like he was going to say something, but nothing came out. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. I was freezing from a surface all the way down. I forced myself to breathe. It took a long time before I could lift my eyes to his again. He was watching me, something dark moving behind his gaze. I stared at him for what felt like forever. Then I let a smile creep into my eyes. You serious about keeping me? He frowned but didn't answer. I watched him, my eyes sharp with sarcasm. He wouldn't touch me when I practically offered myself on a silver platter. But now that he saw me leaving a director's suite, suddenly I'm worth something? I want you. His voice was low and tense. I laughed inside, cold and bitter. I stepped into him, wrapped my arms around his neck, put my lips right next to his ear, letting the tension build. If you really want to be my sugar daddy, on top of the usual perks, I have one more condition. His breath hitched. What condition? I let my lips curl, my fingers tracing slow circles on his burning chest, my expression caught between a smile and a smirk, my eyes bright. His eyes went dark, heavy with want. The next thing I knew, he'd scoop me up and carry me from the hall into his hotel suite. I fell back into the soft mattress, and he came down over me, his mouth pressing hard against the marks on my neck, like he was trying to wipe them away. I trembled, tilting my head back, and as he worked his way down, I kissed him back. The words came out slurred against his mouth. I want cash. His voice was a low rumble. No pause. Okay. I push him back just enough to breathe, looking up at him with a careless smile. I want $208,000. Cash. Today. He said yes again, his mouth covering mine. Okay. My eyes were burning, and I was getting lost in it. Then, for no reason at all, I opened my stupid mouth. I want you to dump your old lady. He froze, his eyes going wide with confusion for a second. Oh, I didn't let him finish. I kissed him again hard. Never mind. I just couldn't stand the thought of hearing his girlfriend's name right then. That night, I clung to his shoulders, my heart drowning in a bitter, jealous ache that nearly ate me alive. Finally, worn out completely, we fell asleep in each other's arms. Section break removed as instructed. The music was a thumping mess. The lights were low and murky. I saw her, that 300-pound woman from the photo, lounging on a couch in a private booth. Edward was standing beside her. She lit her cigar like she'd done 1,000 times, took a long drag, and smirked at him. Baby, come here. Sit on my lap. Edward hesitated, looking unsure. He didn't move. Her smile flickered. Then she narrowed her eyes. Should I go? Edward's eyes went wide, his jaw tight. He looked like he was wrestling with something, then finally decided. He started to take a step toward her, and I lost it. I ran over and grabbed his arm. No, stay away from her. Edward flinched, staring at me like he'd seen a ghost. Miriam, how did you get here? I looked at his face, and all that bitter jealousy inside me just exploded. How could you? I yelled, heartbroken. She's old enough to be your mother. Do you realize that? Edward went white as a sheet, his eyes turning red, the pain on his face nearly killing me. I clung to his arm, hysterical, tears in my voice. What does she have that I don't? Why her? The room went dead quiet. Edward shot a look at her. She was sitting there, all mink and jewels, the purple fur practically glowing under the dim blue light. He turned back to me, his mouth a hard line. Finally, he squeezed his eyes shut and whispered, I'm sorry. I couldn't breathe. I just shook my head, watching him peel my hand off his arm, something dark and heavy moving behind his eyes. She's giving me way too much. Ellipsis removed as instructed. No. I jolted awake, eyes wide. Pale morning light was filtering through the window. It was the next day already. My entire body ached, and there was a deep, uncomfortable soreness in places I didn't want to think about. I felt warm breath against my neck. I turned my head, slow and stiff, and there he was. Edward, looking impossibly good, even asleep. He had a soft smile on his lips, sleeping like a baby. Totally different from me, who just survived a nightmare. I just watched him for a minute, my face blank. Then I reached out, touched his forehead, traced the line of his face down, over his closed eyes, the bridge of his nose, and finally stopped right at his mouth. My eyes went dark, and my chest felt like it was swelling with acid. Had she ever touched him here? Out of nowhere, an arm snaked around my waist and pulled hard, crushing me against him before I knew what was happening. Miriam. He sighed my name into my hair. I froze up completely. He just burrowed his face into my neck, his breath hot against my skin, making me shiver a little. I paused and looked up. His eyes were still closed. He was out cold. My heart did this little flip. So he'd said my name without even knowing knowing it. Could it mean, maybe, just maybe, he actually felt the same way about me that I felt about him? Section break. Removed. A sudden ding from my phone made me jump, pulling me right out of my head. I glanced over and saw my phone screen light up on the pillow next to me. I'd just gotten this new number yesterday after landing back in the States. There was only one person in my contacts. No way. I held my breath, carefully sliding his heavy arm off my waist, and grabbed the phone. Unlocked it. Opened the message. Just one short text. Come audition in 1 week. I stared at it, my fingers shaking a little. This wave of pure joy hit me, and every nerve in my body was buzzing. Who's that from? Someone's cheerful. A deep, sleepy voice rumbled right next to my ear. A huge smile spread across my face, and I kept touching the screen like an idiot, not even thinking. Director Chun. The second I said it, I went cold. Edward was awake. I could feel the air change, like something heavy was pressing down. Then it hit me, and my eyes went wide. He'd seen me leaving Director Chen's room last night. I managed to turn my head, but before I could read his face, he'd grabbed my waist and hauled me against him again. Then he rolled on top of me. His smell was everywhere, getting under my skin, making me shiver. He stared down at me. I looked back, and my breath caught in my throat. Edward's eyes were always so beautiful, cold, and distant. But right now, they were all cloudy, like something dark was brewing in the background. I just got lost in them for the second time. It made me think back to the first time I met him. I was on the set of some cheesy romantic comedy, playing the bitchy other woman. We'd never even been in the same room before that. My scene partner had to bail, and Ian, who was playing the lead, called Edward, who was in the area, to fill in. First time we ever worked together. A shower scene, no less. I could still see it. The lighting was all low and warm, hot water running down on us, steam everywhere. That cool, elegant guy raised his hand, slowly undid one button, and then just leaned in, getting way too close. The way he was looking at me now, it was the exact same look. Ow! A sharp sting on my lip. I winced and shot him a dirty look. Edward, were you born a dog? He leaned his forehead against mine, licking his lips. What was going through your head just now? My brain replayed that memory in fast forward, my heart pounding. I pulled myself together and gave him a challenging stare. Not that you believe me. I smirked, letting my eyes go a little sly. He frowned, something dark moving in his gaze. He turned his head, his breath ghosting over my cheek, and whispered right into my ear. Miriam, if I hadn't called Chun last night and told him I was standing right outside, would you have let it go further? I was shocked. Chun had gotten a call last night. When he hung up, he had this weird look like he knew something. He just smirked and said, someone's getting jealous. You should head back. That was Edward on the phone. Wait, so he planned that? Edward pulled back just enough to look at me, his cold fingers pressing hard on that mark on my neck. Where else did he put his hands? His voice was so low and cold as ice. I flinched. I was getting pissed off all over again. I couldn't let go. Did he really think I was the type to sleep my way to the top? He'd known me for a year. Had I ever done anything like that? Was he blind? But then I got it. Edward had always been distant. Nothing about me mattered to him. Why would he even notice? I looked down, and this heavy sadness just seeped into my chest, filling every crack. He grabbed my chin and turned my face back to his thumb pressing against my skin. Miriam, answer me. I fought to keep my cool, lifted my chin, and gave him a cold, dead smile. Yes. His breath got heavy. Miriam, would you really just sell yourself for a part? He stopped. His mouth opened and closed, his jaw tight, but he didn't finish. And you, I wasn't about to let him slide. Aren't you doing the same thing? I sniffed this stupid hurt feeling bubbling up. We're both just selling ourselves. So who are you to judge? Edward just stared at me, shocked. I could see him get confused, and then his face just got all heavy and complicated. Watching him, it felt like something was crushing my chest. Finally, he said, his voice tired, Miriam, it's not what you think with Director Sue. I froze. Director Sue? Zoon Soo, as in the famous director? My whole body went stiff. All I could picture was some bald, overweight guy in his 50s. I should explain. Edward's first big break was a movie by the legendary John Soo. He won Best Actor for it. After that, he became Sue's muse, and the rest is history. Edward kept talking. Look, I've worked with John Soo for years, but it's just work. He's a mentor, someone I look up to. There's nothing shady going on. Oh, he thought I thought he was sleeping with John Soo. I looked him right in the eye and said, slow and clear, you know that's not who I meant. He blinked, then it clicked. He looked at me, his voice heavy with something like regret. Miriam, it's not like that with Ian either. Stop, I yelled, my voice shaking, my throat closing up. I knew he was just messing with me, pretending not to understand. He could bring up John Soo, his mentor, and Ian, his best friend, but he wouldn't say a single word about his girlfriend, the one paying his bills. If that's not guilt, I don't know what is. I shoved him off me, scrambled out of bed, and made a run for the door. I didn't even make it to the knob before he grabbed me from behind. He caught my wrists and pushed me up against the wall right next to the door. I sucked in a breath. Edward. He leaned in close, his breath hot and wet against my ear. You were gonna leave like that? My eyes went wide. In the bright morning light, I suddenly realized I was just in a silk chemise. The strap had fallen off one shoulder during the fight, and I could see all these marks, purple and red, standing out against my skin as I breathed. breathed. If I walked out the door now and some photographer was lurking, it'd be all over Twitter in minutes. Say goodbye to that audition. I felt a wave of defeat. I shot him a dirty look and went to yank the strap back up myself, but he caught my hand. My eyes went wide. I flinched. What now? He held my hand in his fingers long and bony, and guided my fingers to pull it back up. Just like that, it was fixed. He was so careful, like he was scared he'd hurt me. You pull that hard, you'll tear it, just like the one from last night. I grit my teeth, like he didn't know exactly who'd shredded that red dress last night and exactly how. He rubbed his thumb over the skin on my shoulder, his voice low and unreadable. If you really can't stand being here with me, I'll call my assistant to bring you something clean to wear. Then you can go. It'll just take a minute. He pulled me closer, burying his face in my neck. Miriam, just give me half an hour. He smelled so good, and for some stupid reason, my eyes started to sting. What was wrong with me? I knew he had a girlfriend, so why did I throw myself at him? Why did I do this to myself? Section break removed. Half an hour later, Edward's assistant showed up. He was a kid, maybe 20, with curly hair and a sunny smile. He didn't even blink when he saw me, just smiled. Miriam, brought you a change of clothes. My cheeks burned. I took the clothes, then stopped. Where's Kevin? You got a new assistant. Edward just looked at me, his face totally calm. MMHM, but his assistant, when I said Kevin's name, got all weird. Miriam, you know, he stopped, scratching his head, looking like he couldn't find the right words, or like he shouldn't say them. I frowned. I didn't know Kevin well. I just knew he was crazy handsome. Clear skin, perfect features, better looking than half of Hollywood, and he wasn't even an actor. Edward had always looked out for him. So why the sudden switch? I was about to ask when Edward's phone started buzzing. He looked at the caller ID and just declined it. A second later, it rang again. Wouldn't stop. He frowned. I snuck a look at his screen. I could just make out the name, Sophia. My eyes locked on it. Sophia. Definitely a girl. Was that her? The girlfriend? I went cold all over again. You should get it. Could be important. I tried to sound casual, but my face was getting pale. Edward gave me a long look, something dark crossing his face. Okay. I dropped my gaze. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw him pick up. The room was dead silent. I could hear every word. It was a woman's voice, sweet and kind of weepy. Edward, you finally picked up. Edward, just his first name. So familiar. I took a deep breath, trying to push down the sick feeling. When I opened my eyes, he was staring right at me. He was already off the phone. He actually looked apologetic. Miriam, I'm sorry. I have something I need to deal with. He was telling me to leave. My chest ached. I was gonna leave anyway, but hearing him say it out loud still made me feel like ice. Phoenix, I'm out. I wiped my eyes fast and headed for the door. Wait, he called out. I sniffed, a stupid smile creeping onto my face. I knew he didn't want me to leave. And then he said in that cold, steady voice of his, Miriam, take care. My smile died on my face. He must have realized how that sounded, because he jumped in to explain. I meant drive safe. Watch out for photographers. And he paused, like he was trying to find the right thing to say. When you get home, make sure you study for that audition next week. I just stood there frozen. I stared at him, totally confused. I couldn't read him at all. One minute he's green with jealousy, grilling me about Chun. The next he's Mr. Generous, telling me to go crush my audition. This guy had two completely different faces. Then a new thought hit me, and my face went white. I bit my lip. What if, after that call, he came to his senses, decided to drop me and be a good boyfriend, and he wanted to use this audition to pass me off to Chun? Ellipsis removed. Edward saw me out and told his assistant to drive me home. I was sitting in the back, and I just froze. The car smelled faintly of jasmine, the exact same kind I'd smelled on Edward. Section break removed. When I got back to my place, I didn't call my assistant or my agent. Not like it would help. My agent's plate was full. She had bigger names to worry about. And my assistant, I didn't have a lot of friends in Hollywood, but my assistant was cool. Her folks got sick, so I gave her time off before I left. So everything, from finding work to doing laundry, was all on me. I spent the whole week learning the lines and studying the character. I was not going to blow this chance. I was going to get that part. No question. I dove into that script, working so hard I forgot to eat. But I still noticed something. A whole week, and Edward never called, never texted. It was like he really was done with me. The night before the audition, I pulled another all-nighter. Around dawn, I crashed on the couch with a pillow, and I started dreaming again. I dreamt about a year ago, back when Edward, Ian, and I were filming together. I was chilling in my chair, studying my lines, and when I saw it was Edward coming to fill in, I got so flustered I dropped my script. I bent down to grab it, but a hand got there before me. Long, pale, perfect. His fingers brushed against mine, cool. I looked up, frozen. Edward was wearing a white button-down and black slacks, his shoulders broad, his waist lean. The guy had a body, but his shirt was buttoned all the way up, and with that cold face and those aristocratic features, he looked almost untouchable. And he was just staring at me, his eyes dark. Didn't think you'd actually show. Ian strolled up, looking back and forth between us like he was watching a show. Edward just glanced at him, looking bored, and didn't say a word. Ian just shrugged and turned to me. This is Miriam. Told you about her. He winked at Edward. I told you she was gorgeous. My heart did a backflip. I couldn't help but look at Edward. Too bad. He didn't react at all. He ignored ignored Ian completely, read over the script for a second, and then handed it back. His voice was flat. I saw your film Black and White. You were good. You should stick to movies, not this TV stuff. My heart sank. Black and White was my first and only indie film. I played this blind girl, stuck in this horrible situation, just trying to find some hope. It was a small, depressing art film. No one saw it. I never thought Edward would have. I didn't know what to feel. I just looked down and took it. Thanks. So I called him and asked for a favor. Ian said, and he hung up on me. Ian was on a mission, playing matchmaker. But then I texted him. I said he'd be working with Miriam. He showed up in 10 minutes. My head snapped up. Miriam. Edward didn't even look at me. Just shot Ian a dirty look. Then those dark eyes were on me. Don't get the wrong idea. I looked down. Okay, I won't. Edward looked like I just slapped him. He stared at me for a second, then turned back to Ian, who was just eating it up. Sue's birthday is next Wednesday. You're coming with me. Ian's smile dropped. No. I looked at Ian and it clicked. Ian used to be Sue's main guy too. He's got raw talent, won a bunch of awards. But he's got this weird thing. Every time he wins a big award, he celebrates by starring in some cheesy rom-com as a rich, controlling boss. John Sue hates it, thinks it's a waste of his talent, that it'll ruin his edge. But Ian is stubborn as a mule. He does what he wants. They had a huge fight and now they won't even look at each other. Edward raised an eyebrow, about to argue, but Ian cut him off. Wait, Ian's face was dark. You only said yes to this part to get me to go to that old man Sue's party, didn't you? It had nothing to do with her. I froze. Edward just stared at him. You're not as dumb as you look. So I've been wrong. It was all about Ian. Ellipsis removed. I woke up just staring at the pillow, not moving. Even my dreams were telling me. Then and now, all along. It was all in my head. Section break removed. 10 a.m. 4th floor of the Brightway Studios. The audition for the lead in The Sorceress. Director Chun. David Chun. He was only 25, a wunderkind, known for his wild style and even wilder personality. He'd only done 2 films in 5 years. The first one bombed. The second one won every award on the planet. Then he just disappeared, went overseas to study, and just got back. And now he's back, and every actor in town want a piece of him. I looked around the big waiting room. It was packed, mostly A and B listers. It was a who's who of Hollywood. I was sitting there when I overheard 2 women talking. I heard the part is already cast. This is just for show. I stopped reading and looked over. It was this actress, Chloe. Girl next door type, great connections, but she couldn't act her way out of paper bag. The other actress leaned in. What? Who? Before Chloe answered, she got this look. Wait, don't tell me. You mean Sophia? The one who blew up after that commercial with Edward. My jaw dropped. My brain just stopped. Edward's old lady was getting into acting now. Chloe shook her head. No, the other girl didn't buy it. Sophia came out of nowhere, booked Edward for her first gig, and was a superstar in a month. You can't tell me she doesn't have backing. I heard he was her college mentor. They're really tight. So who else would be? Something wasn't adding up. Sophia was Edward's college junior? I frowned harder. Sophia wasn't the woman from the photo. Who is this Sophia then? Chloe bit her lip, her eyes dark. Finally, she said, Sophia's connections are nothing compared to someone who studies her lines real well. The other girl was hooked. Studies? What do you mean? I was staring at Chloe, a knot forming in my stomach. Chloe smirked, a nasty look flashing in her eyes. This one girl chased Edward for a year, like she was so in love. Then last week, a photographer got her leaving Chin sweet, clothes all wrong. Someone paid a lot to bury that story. The other girl's eyes went wide. Oh, you mean Miriam? Miriam. A loud voice called out from the doorway. Both of them went rigid. They shot each other a look, then slowly turned around. Their faces went pale. A production assistant waved me over. You're on. I stood up and walked out slow. When I passed their chairs, I stopped. You know, if you could act half as well as you run your mouth, you'd have an Oscar by now. I didn't even look at her face, which must have been priceless. I just kept walking. The Sorceress was written by this big shot screenwriter, Jane. Spent years on it. They got David Chun to direct. They were going for awards, no question. It was the whole reason I came back. A month ago, when I was still overseas, I ran into David Chun. He was in a black coat, hands in his pockets. That cocky look on his face, I knew it too well. He looked surprised to see me, just for a second. Then he smirked, his brown eyes lighting up. Miriam, I'm putting together a new film. Still casting the lead. You interested? I just stared at him. Why I didn't answer? He got this darker look, but his smile just got bigger. He walked closer. Don't get the wrong idea. You read it. If you like it, you still have to pass my first round, then the big audition. I just laughed. And what makes you think I'd ever work with you again? Seriously, why would I let that happen again? Oh, right. Black and White. That was his movie. He just smirked, still holding a grudge. I rolled my eyes so hard I nearly pulled a muscle, told him exactly where he could go, and walked off. But of course, I ended up flying back with him. After I read it, there was only one thought in my head. Fine, I was in. And that night, Edward saw me leaving Chin's room. We were literally just rehearsing. Chin was testing me. Those marks on my neck? I did that to myself, to get into the right headspace. We're here. The PA's voice snapped me out of it. I pulled myself together, thanked her, and looked toward the judges. There were 3 chairs. David Chun was in the center, legs crossed, looking way too pleased with himself. The chair on his right was empty, but someone's coat was on it. A purple mink. It looked familiar. And on his left, oh great, Edward Miller, staring right at me, not blinking. Section break, removed, seeing Edward on the panel. I kept my face calm, but inside I was freaking out. 3 judges total. One was an ex who'd given me a private look at the script. One was a guy I'd hooked up with multiple times. Whoever the third was, they only had 1 vote. Maybe Chloe was right. Maybe this was a done deal. Wow, I was the one getting the special treatment. The PA left, and the room got real quiet. Chun looked at Edward, then gave me this weird look, smirking. Miriam, we were just talking about you. Old times. I frowned, watching him, immediately suspicious. Was that why Edward looked pissed? Chun stared at me for a minute, then raised an eyebrow. Why the long face? I was just telling him about the good old days on Black and White. We actually agree on a lot. We have the same taste, it seems. And he paused, staring at me. Then he laughed himself. Same taste in people, too. Even an idiot could tell what he was getting at. I bit my lip. I didn't know what his angle was. He'd chased me after Black and White 5 years ago. Then I found him in bed with someone else. He didn't even care. Just got dressed, didn't look at me. It was just fun, Miriam. So what was his game now? Then Edward, who hadn't said a word, finally spoke up. Miriam, I'm not like that. I looked at him and my heart just stopped. It came out of nowhere. I kind of got it, but not really. And then I remembered. The day I found him, right after he said it was just a game, the press showed up, just barged right in. It was all over Twitter. David Yu was furious his album got bumped. Back then, Chun was already the genius director. I was just some extra. The blogs wrote all about him and his girl. They didn't even use my name. Just a no-name actress. It took me a minute to get past the rage, and then a thought hit me. What did Edward mean by that? I held my breath, staring at him, and then a crazy idea popped into my head. Had he been paying attention to me even then? It wasn't impossible. He'd seen my movie. Miriam, I'm different. He said it again, his voice cold as ice, but with something else underneath. I blinked, looking back at him, my heart racing. He watched me, his cold eyes getting warmer. He opened his mouth, serious and sure. He's a jerk. I'm not. As soon as he said that, a woman laughed from the door. Oh my, did you start without me? How rude. I looked over and my eyes went wide. It was a woman, early 50s maybe, heavy set, dripping in diamonds, but her skin was amazing. She was the spitting image of the woman in Edward's tweet. My face went white. My hands went cold. I never thought SHE would be the third judge. She looked at me and clicked her tongue. She walked over, checking me out from head to toe, and then smiled at them. With a face like that, she's perfect for the sorceress. I looked down, scared and humiliated, my heart pounding like crazy. And I was so embarrassed I wanted to die. I heard Chin chuckle. Absolutely. The first time I saw her, Edward cut him off, his voice sharp. Miriam, which scene? I snapped out of it and looked at him. My brain was fried. How could he be so calm? He knew she was on the panel. Why didn't he tell me? I frowned, something trying to click in my head, but it was gone before I could grab it. I pushed down the panic, took a breath, and tried to look calm. I'll do scene 7. Edward's girlfriend glanced at the script, thought a second, and then looked at him. This is the scene. Hey, Edward, why don't you read with her? My eyes went wide. This was practically a love scene, and she was cool with it? She looked so casual about it. I bit my lip, feeling weirdly ashamed. I guess you can't judge a book by its cover. It would take a woman this confident to handle someone like Edward, to make him fall so hard he'd go public. I looked at Edward. He seemed surprised for a second, then just nodded at her. Okay, I turned away, my heart sinking. Section break, removed, period makeup is a nightmare. But for the audition, I just threw on the dress. My face was already done. I just added some lipstick. I opened the door, and Edward was standing right there. He was in this dark red robe, black embroidery at the cuffs. His face was all serious, cold, and commanding. For a second, I thought he was the prince from the script. He looked at me, something dark moving behind his eyes, and he swallowed hard. You look beautiful. I just pressed my lips together, not saying a word. He reached for my face, and I flinched back, slamming the door in his face. Like clockwork, he started knocking. He has a specific knock. Slow, steady like a clock ticking. I looked up at the ceiling and took a breath. Stop it. You can knock all day. I'm not coming out. He went quiet for a second, like he was thinking. Then he started again, softer this time. I was getting really annoyed. Would you stop? Just go away. I'll come out when you're gone. It got dead quiet. I could hear him breathing. Then he said, this scene, she's unhinged. She's been betrayed. She's killed people. She's paranoid. Everyone else just played the seduction part. They forgot the crazy. So when you go in, just... He stopped, and I could hear him smile. Why am I even coaching you? You know what you're doing. His voice was muffled, but he sounded like he meant it. It made me so mad. I knew I was being crazy. I'd rather he yell at me, call me names, blame me for everything that happened. Anything but this. Acting like we didn't just cheat on his girlfriend. And from the way he was talking, he wanted to keep this going. On the side, I thought of Jane, and my chest hurt. This whole thing was stupid. Edward, I regret it. I was crazy. Forget what I said the other night. We're grown-ups. We need to know when to stop. Miriam, I was done. After today, unless it's for work, don't call me. I looked down, forcing the words out, feeling completely drained. Let's just go our separate. I didn't even get the word out. The lock clicked, and then he was pushing the door open, stepping inside. The room spun, and he grabbed my wrist, yanking me against his chest. No, his voice was low and rough, not cold for once, almost shaky. He put a hand on my jaw, tilting my face up, and I was staring right into those cold eyes. I was so mad I could spit. I don't give a damn what you... His eyes went cold as ice. He said it slow, like a threat. Miriam, you started this. I stopped mid-word. He was right, and I hated it. He just stood there, watching me, his eyes black and white. Do you remember what you tweeted at me a year ago? I flinched, biting my lip. He was staring at me, his eyes getting darker. Including punctuation, you said 15 words. I was all over the place inside, my heart racing. I shut my eyes and screamed. I don't remember. One of these days, I'm going to nail Edward Miller. My yell came out just as he said it, quiet and steady. I looked at him, blushing so hard my face was on fire. The memory came flooding back. That tweet was an accident. You can't just tweet at a guy like that in Hollywood. It looks like a stunt, and we were promoting a show at the time. It would have been a field day for the trolls. The thing is, I was hammered. I don't drink, but it was his last day on set, so I made an exception. He was only on set for 10 days. It was enough. I fell hard. I got so drunk. I went home, nearly fell over, grabbed my phone, and tweeted like a maniac. One of these days, I'm gonna nail Edward Miller. But he probably thought it was a PR move. Pretend I was in love with him to get famous. In his head, it was all an act. Why else would he act the way he did after? We got along great on set. We'd talk about scenes for hours. If we disagreed, he'd listen, no ego, then talk through it until we found the right way. And when we agreed, he'd just look at me and smile this little smile. He was beautiful. At first, I know he felt it too. Then I made that stupid tweet. I went to see him, wanted to just tell him the truth. He looked right through me, walked away before I could say a word. A whole year after that, it was even worse. I tried everything to get his attention. He wouldn't even look at me. A piece of hair fell in my face, and Edward reached out, tucking it behind my ear, bringing me back. He was watching me. You know, when you posted that, you tagged me. He laughed under his breath 3 times, just in case I didn't see it. That was forever ago. My ears were burning. I was so wasted I thought tweeting it 3 times would make it disappear. He was about to keep going, but someone hammered on the door, and a cold voice called out, "Are you going to audition or just stand there all day?" I froze. It was Chun. Section break removed. The 3 of us walked back in silence. Chun looked at me. "So, Miriam, what were you 2 up to in there?" I was so flustered, I just said the first thing. "Changing." I looked up and saw his face. He was furious. I decided not to explain. After what I saw 5 years ago, there was no coming back. Whatever I felt before was dead. He was just my director now. Nothing more. When I didn't answer, he just stared, his eyes going dark. Edward, though, was loving it. He smirked. People change in dressing rooms. Other stuff is for home. Chun looked like he wanted to kill him. Ellipsis removed. We got back to the room, all looking tense. But Jane's face lit up when she saw us. "Oh my God, you are them." Chun took a breath, looked us over, and nodded. "Miriam, whenever you're ready." The lights went down. The Sorceress is about this legendary courtesan, Rose. Rose was a powerful advisor, but she got set up and her entire family was killed. Only she got away. To find out who did it, she changed her face, became one of the Emperor's wives, and used her beauty to take over the palace. Scene 7 is when the 3rd prince, her old colleague, finally figures out who she is and comes to her room at night to catch her. I was lounging on the daybed, and I felt him behind me. I smiled. "Come into my rooms in the middle of the night. 3rd prince? Not afraid your father will hear about it." His breath caught. The room went still. Finally, he spoke, his voice like ice. "You're Rose." I froze for just a second, then laughed, covering my mouth. My hairpins jingled. I stopped and turned to face him. "No small talk. That's always been your way." His eyes went wide, then narrow. I stood up, walked over barefoot, and pressed my face against his chest. "Yi." I said his name like it was the only word I knew. No one called him that, but her. He was shaking. He could barely breathe, barely speak. "You're alive." I looked at him, this man I used to work with, and I gave him my best bedroom eyes. I grabbed his shirt and whispered in his ear, "It's me. I'm Rose, the one they were supposed to kill. I'm still here. Are you happy? What do you want from me?" His voice was raw. I smiled, letting my hand trail down his chest. "What do you think?" He grabbed my hand, stopping me. "You know what I'm asking? You got the ones who framed you. Why kill Minister Lin? He never did anything to you." I kept my face still, but my hands were cold. "It was an accident." He stared at me, shocked. I held up my hand, my fingers pale in the dim light, and smiled. "You know, E, once you've got blood on your hands, you can't go back. I'd rather kill everyone than take the chance." "Rose, you've lost your mind." I just stared at him cold. "Yes, I have." I tackled him to the floor, got on top of him, and ripped my dress open, showing him all my skin, all my scars. He saw the marks on my neck, the ones that looked like I'd been hurt, and his eyes went wide. He didn't get to finish. I leaned down and bit his throat. "Are you going to be crazy with me?" Section break removed. When I finished, Edward Edward just lay there, staring at me. He swallowed hard. I climbed off him, trying to look cool, and turned to the room. That's it. That wasn't in the script. None of it. I made it up. I was still picturing his face. His eyes were red, full of so many things. Shock, pain, and something else. Something dark that almost scared me. In real life, he'd never looked at me like that, and I just lost it. So last time, you did that to yourself too? He was whispering right next to me. I blinked. He meant the marks on my neck. Yeah, I felt my face get hot. Yeah, his eyes lit up. Then he frowned, thinking, you bit me just now? Last time, did you know? I knew what he was asking. No, I didn't bite him. We were just reading lines. And I did all the scenes alone. I snuck a look at him. He was trying not to smile, but I could see it. Then someone yelled, Miriam, that was incredible. Edward's girlfriend jumped up and started clapping. I love that. The way the tension. You are Rose. You're her. I looked at Edward, shocked. His girlfriend was the screenwriter. Jane, the one who wrote the whole thing. I'd heard the writer was some rich heiress who did this for fun. No one ever saw her, but I remembered her bio said she was like 28. I know people lie, but that was a stretch. Jane came over, looking at me like I was her new best friend. Then she just took off her coat and handed it to me. This coat has been with me for years. It's one of a kind, and now it's yours. She patted my arm. You keep going. You got this. She looked so sincere. My heart just sank. She was giving me this. She was giving me her prize coat. I looked down at it, holding it like it was made of lead. I thought about what I'd just done on stage, biting him like that, and I wanted to disappear. I couldn't do it. I looked up at her, my voice shaking. Can I talk to you? Just for 5 minutes. I grabbed her wrist and pulled her into the dressing room before anyone could stop me. I shut the door and just blurted it out. I'm so sorry. Jane just stared. What? I held her coat like a shield. I need to tell you something. I wasn't going to say anything. It's not exactly my finest moment, but I can't live with it. I swear I'm done with him. It's over. I shut my eyes, waiting. It was the right thing to say, but it still hurt like hell. Jane's face changed. Absolutely not. Now I was the one confused. I looked at her like she was crazy. That wasn't just being cool with it. That was nuts. Jane bit her lip, looking torn. Finally, she said, look, Edward is signed on as the lead. Has been for months. And after that audition, you're the lead. You're going to be working together every day for 6 months. You can't just ignore each other. I stopped breathing. Of course. He was already cast. That's why he was on the panel. Wait, Jane's eyes went wide. Did you think Edward is my boyfriend? I saw how surprised she looked. He's not. No, she almost yelled. Don't you read the news? I announced it on May 20th. Kevin is my boyfriend. Section break removed. I left the studio, sent the coat back to my place, and grabbed a cab to my usual coffee shop near the Brightway offices. I got an iced coffee and sat by the window. On the ride over, I'd reinstalled Twitter. I had maybe 10 minutes. I opened the app, checking the trends. First, Ian Young, my leg is just broken. Second, David Yu, new song out. Third, Ian Young, leg amputated. I figured it out. The blogs ran with some stupid rumor, and Ian had to shut it down. I clicked the first one. It was his post. 2 pictures. First one, Ian in a hospital bed, his leg in a cast, hanging in the air. He's giving the camera a thumbs up, looking bored. The second one, I zoomed in. Edward was sitting next to the bed, peeling an apple. His hands were perfect, the knife moving slow. It was a candid shot. His profile was sharp, his lashes dark against his cheek. Ian said Edward had been at the hospital with him for a week, taking care of him. I felt so many things at once. So he hadn't been running off to see her. He was with Ian, and he'd stayed quiet so I could focus on the audition. I traced his face on the screen, smiling. My heart felt light. Then I noticed something weird. I looked back and forth between the 2 pictures, and then it hit me. The photographer, she had used a filter. On Edward, she found his best angle. The lighting was perfect. That wasn't the weird part. Ian's picture was straight out of the camera. No filter, nothing. It was obvious. Sophia had been there, in the room. I tried to push down the jealous feeling, but it stuck. I knew one thing for sure. That girl was crazy about him. You don't filter one guy and not the other unless you're into him. I remembered what that actress said. They were close. I was wound up tight. I had to force myself to breathe. I was about to search her name, but I saw number 9. Kevin Candid shot. It was another Candid. Kevin, at some event, reaching up to wipe his forehead. He was handsome, all sweaty and flushed. Perfect lighting. A random photo, trending that high. He was blowing up. The comments were brutal. A lot of people calling him a gold digger. Not much love in there. Miriam, a clear voice said my name. I looked up, and Kevin was sliding into the seat across from me. Sorry, took me a minute. I blinked, a little thrown. He looked different, more confident. Expensive clothes. You'd never guess he used to be a broke assistant. I looked at him, thinking about what Jane said. On May 20th, they were just posting couple stuff. Kevin logged into the wrong account, Edward's account, and it blew up. No problem. I just sat down. Kevin raised an eyebrow. So, Miriam, this isn't just a social call, is it? I stir my drink. Is Jane good to you? He went still. I could see something flicker in his eyes. Then he looked down. Yeah, she's good. Do you love her? His hands tightened, but he kept smiling. Just tell me why you called me here. I'll watch him for a second. You did it on purpose, didn't you? May 20th. You did that on purpose. He didn't move. The waiter brought his drink, and we just looked at each other through the steam. His smile faded. What are you talking about? You wanted to be famous. No, you wanted to blow up. Like overnight. His face went pale. You run his social media. He was shooting, no phone. You logged into his account and posted her picture. Let it sit for 3 hours. Let it explode. Then right when when he gets out, you post the whoops, wrong account thing. And then, wow, suddenly everyone knows Jane is the screenwriter. Another wave of press. That was you too, wasn't it? Kevin went stiff. He stared at me, his eyes getting cold. I didn't look away. He used him. Edward's assistant. Dating a rich, famous writer. All those headlines, all you. You got famous overnight. I wasn't even mad, just disappointed. You used him. You made it, Kevin. He looked down, didn't say a word. His hand was shaking, the veins popping out. But I don't get it. I sighed. She's rich. She has resources. If you wanted to act, why not just ask her? Why go this route? It's going to follow you forever. What's wrong with it? He laughed cold. A scandal is still famous. I didn't have the energy to fight him on it. I talked to Jane today. She really cares about you. If you just, please. He laughed. She doesn't care about me. I'm just her plaything. She'd never let her plaything go on stage. I thought of Jane's face when she talked about him. She was crazy about him. I don't think that's true. He saw I didn't believe him. His jaw tightened. We met playing a game. Online. Gaming. I blinked. Her profile picture. She was cute. Small, sweet smile. Totally my type. We talked for a year. Finally decided to meet. I already knew where this was going. It was a shock. She'd used a lot of filters. I didn't know what to say. But when I tried to leave, she stopped me. Did she force you? He shook his head. She gave me a coat. She gave me a mink coat. A purple mink coat. I just stared. Said it was one of a kind. Had it for years. My brain was short-circuiting. Who says no to a mink? I couldn't believe it. Turns out the photo was real. It was just old. He took a breath. She got sick. The meds made her gain weight. She's only 28, but she looks 50. My eyes went wide. So she really was 28. She was good to me. She saved my dad's life once. I thought we had something real. Until I saw. My heart sank. Did she cheat? His face was dark, his eyes red. She gave another man a coat. She gave another man a coat. What? I felt like I was losing my mind. And then it clicked. Was it Edward? Tell me it wasn't Edward. Kevin's face went pale. He couldn't even look at me. He nodded slow. At the audition, the way she looked at him, I thought I was going to lose her. Dude, relax. Luckily, he didn't take it. He said no. I looked down at my hands. Good thing I left that coat at home. That's when I realized she lied. She didn't have just one. She had a whole factory. She owns a mink factory. I was speechless. I'm just another coat to her. I just sat there, holding my spoon, my mouth hanging open. He compared himself to a coat, so I had to look out for myself. I did it so I'd never be nothing again. The words hung in the air. I watched him, this sad, angry kid. I'm not that smart. He looked at me. What? If I figured it out, Jane probably did too. He looked shocked. I stood up to go, then turned back. She knows what you did. She's not stupid, but she's still with you. Think about that. I walked away. I was at the door when he called out. Miriam, don't you want to know why he ignored you for a year? Section break removed. It was dark by the time I left Kevin. I took a cab to Ian's hospital. I texted Ian earlier. Is Sophia there with you? He said yes. I read it and felt my blood boil. Oh, I had something for her, all right. I never would have guessed. The whole reason Edward had ghosted me for a year. All because of her. I was storming down the hospital corridor, my phone clutched in my hand. The place was dead. I rounded a corner and ran straight into someone. Careful. Before I could fall, an arm caught me around the waist, pulling me back against a familiar chest. I looked up. Edward. Seeing his face, I forgot why I was even mad. All done. He was staring at me with those dark eyes. MMHM. Before I could say anything else, he just folded me into his arms, put his head on my shoulder. I'm beat. His breath was hot on my neck, and I felt it all the way down my spine. I push him back. People are looking. He didn't budge. Let them. We'll go public. That got my attention. He said last time we had to be careful. I stopped. He'd said go public. I couldn't breathe. I take it back. He pulled back just enough to look at me. Dead serious. Can you forget I said it? I looked at him and just started laughing. He looked confused for a second, then cupped my face. Miriam, let's do it. Tell everyone. My heart was racing, but something was different. Did Chin say something to you? No, I didn't believe him. He just looked at me and then sighed. I'm scared. Of what? I looked up into his eyes. You know, Chin is back. I didn't get what he meant by back. I told myself you wanted this part for the script, not because of him. So I pushed you to go for it. But I'm still scared. I'm scared you're just using me again to get back at him. I'm not. He froze. I looked at him frustrated. Not then. Not ever. You've never been a stand-in. His eyes went wide. He couldn't believe it. It's always been you. He just stared at me, his mouth open. But she said, that video Sophia showed you. It was a fake. That wasn't me. I was so angry I was shaking. Kevin had sent me the video. A woman in a red dress, long black hair, talking to someone off screen. Her voice was flat, cold. Love him. Please. I just want to make Shin jealous. Edward is nothing. She smirked and her profile was mine. Kevin told me. Last year, Sophia showed Edward this. Kevin saw her smile like she'd won something. But Edward was too crushed to see it. He was going to tell him, but then he remembered the coat thing and he just kept quiet. I stared at Edward, fire in my eyes. I didn't even know Chun was back in the country a year ago. How could I say that? Edward went pale. He didn't know. He stared at me, his voice barely a whisper. He never came to find you. He didn't dare. Edward looked at me and something clicked. He nodded. No, I guess he wouldn't. He knew about what happened back then. He'd been watching me for years. I remembered what Kevin said. Miriam, Edward has loved you for years. I looked at him and my heart just melted. I tried to speak, but I couldn't. Finally, I looked down, my face on fire. You want to go home? What? He leaned in. I looked up at him. I need to run some lines. Section break removed for real. Just Next lines. The door clicked shut. I pulled his head down, my eyes already wet. He looked at me, his shirt already half open. I couldn't look away. My face was hot. My hands were hot. He laughed. Okay, let's run lines. Well, not exactly. He stepped into me, pushing me against the wall, his mouth on mine. I kissed him back hard. He pulled back just enough to breathe, his voice rough. The prince looks at her. She's showing him everything, all the pain. And his first thought isn't to comfort her. It's to kiss her. He kissed me again. Take her. He picked me up and laid me down. Like this. And this. I looked up at him, my eyes blurry, my whole body shaking. He pushed the strap off my shoulder, his hands cold on my skin. And this. Ellipsis removed. I couldn't believe it. Edward really did run lines with me. All night long. I lost my voice. The next morning, I woke up to see Edward pulling on his shirt. He had a body on him. Lean but strong. I stared. Then he was leaning over me again. He kissed my forehead. We start shooting in a month. It's gonna be rough. Get some rest. I'll take care of everything. I blinked. I got it. He smiled. Happy to be working with you again, Miriam. I looked at him and jumped him. I did not rest. Don't ask. We had a lot of lines to run. I told him about thinking he was with Jane. I was so embarrassed I hid under the covers. He just stared at me, then pulled the covers back. You thought I was dating Jane? You didn't see any of my texts? What texts? I deleted his number and thrown away my SIM card. I threw my card away. What did you say? He wouldn't look at me. I'm going to shower. He practically ran, but he looked at his phone first. I got it. I grabbed his phone. I couldn't see mine, but he still had his. My heart was pounding. I touched the screen and it opened. When did he do that? I know, privacy, but I couldn't help but smile. He was smooth. I went to his sent messages. He barely used text, but there were a dozen to me. I scrolled to May 20th. Miriam, I was on set. That wasn't me. Then I told Kevin to fix it. Every day after that. Where are you? And the last one. He was drunk, probably. Miriam, I really like you. I just stared at it. Ian said he never drank. Was he looking for me? Or was he trying to be funny? I decided he was just drunk. The day before we started shooting. Shin showed up at my door. Edward was out getting breakfast. He saw the men's shoes inside. His face fell. You live together now. I didn't answer. What do you want? He stared at me. Stop. I cut him off. It's been years, and I was never into you. Why not? You're a player. He started to argue, but I kept going. After you won your award, you needed money for your next film. Only one person would fund it. The catch. You had to date his daughter. So you chased me while you were with her. How is that not trashy? And you thought you were so slick. Want to know who told me where to find you? He went pale. I checked my phone. Edward would be back any minute. Anyway, let it go. We start tomorrow. Don't you have a movie to shoot? You should go. He didn't move. I have some bad news. What? The studio wants to recast the lead. I already knew. With who? He looked at me. Sophia. Sophia. Of course. I hadn't thought about her in weeks. I opened Twitter. First, David Chin recasts lead in The Sorceress. Second, Sophia's unbelievable rise. Third, David Yu still not number one. I stared at the screen. I'd wanted to confront her before, but Edward told me something. Sophia is Ian's wife. What are you thinking about? His voice was quiet. I didn't even look up. Ian, he grabbed me and pulled me onto his lap. Ian, his eyes narrowed. His wife. He relaxed. What about her? She stole my part. She wants to work with you. He frowned. Maybe she'll quit. What? He knew it sounded crazy. Let me explain. Ian and Sophia met in college. Perfect couple. Rich families, good looking. Married 6 years. Never went public with it. Oh, and she owns the studio. A few years back, she was in a bad accident. Messed with her head. She'd go on and on about scripts, about being in movies. Her taste changed. She started wearing jasmine perfume, and she got obsessed with Edward. Lately, it had been getting worse. She'd flirt with him, then forget she ever did it. Ian was a mess. He started doing those cheesy TV shows to cope. I just listened, trying to take it all in. He held me tighter. Maybe she'll just... His phone buzzed. I didn't move. Just looked at him. He grabbed it and held it up. Chin's voice was tight. Miriam, they're not recasting. It's still you. He sounded pissed. Are they playing games with me? Near the end of shooting, Ian called. Sophia had another accident. Hit her head again, but she woke up and she was better. I was in a hotel room, fresh out of the shower, watching TV. Edward was drying my hair. Ian was crying on the phone. That must have been so hard for him. All those years, watching her like that. He must have been in hell. Edward stopped drying my hair. He leaned down and held my face. Miriam, next May 20th, the premiere. Let's do it. He was so close, his voice low, like he was hypnotizing me. The second time he'd asked, I looked at him. Okay. His eyes went dark. He dropped the towel and kissed me. I kissed him back. The TV. Leave it. But he kissed me again, and I forgot what I was saying. The TV was playing some singing competition. David Yu was a judge. He was asking some kid, what's your dream? The kid started crying. I grew up poor. My mom said I had to work hard. I want to sing. All the judges were crying. And then the kid looks at David. So David, what's your dream? David froze. Then a tear rolled down his cheek. Next May 20th, when my album drops, I want to be number one. The curtain falls, but this story is more than just a fairy tale ending. It's about two souls finding each other on equal ground. We've all been there at a low point, looking at someone we admire like they're the only light. It's not just obsession, it's hope. But Miriam didn't stay in the audience. She got on the stage. She took the long, hard road, and she became his equal. Real love isn't about one person saving the other. It's about both of you running towards being your best selves. Edward didn't love the fan who tweeted him. He loved the actress who fought for her place, who kept her head on straight, who refuse to be defined by anyone else. If you're reading this and you feel like the side character in someone else's story, don't. Icons aren't there to make you feel small. They're there to show you what's possible. Don't worry if you're not shining yet. Don't change who you are for anyone. Do what Miriam did. Take that longing and turn it into work. Grow, even when it hurts. Stop staring at the light and start making your own. And one day, they'll look back because they'll feel you. An equal. The best love story isn't I finally got you. It's I finally became someone who could stand next to you, only to find out you've been waiting for me the whole time. So find your own strength. Be your own lead. And then, when you find the right one, you'll shine for them, not because of them.